You mentioned that you created a box for your wines, and let's talk a little bit about your wines now. You have three distinct, I would say, directions in which you offer your wines to your fans. The first is a sort of an introductory line called The First Roses. The second would be then the main body of what you're offering, and then you reserve the third line for the most exclusive, I would call it top premium line. Could you describe a little bit the difference between these three propositions, and what are the wines that you are preparing for us in each one of these lines?
Yes, we can use that wording lines, but I would not like to separate them classically. It would be a path that would be recommended for a general wine lover to pass, so that the result on the last wines you mentioned is then really appreciated in a full depth. We are talking here natural winemaking, we are talking long macerations. Those wines are not the common wines you find on the market, although they have been on the market or on the surface of planet Earth from the early beginnings and from the very beginning, because that is how the wines have been. And to come to that, to come to this particular taste and complexity in secondary and tertiary note, I understood that it would be wise to explain through the wine that idea. And that's the reason why we created Prime Roses, the first roses, because this is a wine that cherishes completely the philosophy. That means they are all vinified with indigenous yeast, spontaneously fermented, without temperature control. Just the maceration times have been a little bit shorter than on the long macerated whites. The red wines follow their line anyhow. And then obviously there are some skills in winemaking, and to make it more simple, the natural process of fermentation of grape ends up in vinegar. It is that we humans stop that somehow in some time, and obviously you have development of volatile acids during the process, or something that is by somebody appreciated, by somebody less appreciated, or non-appreciated at all. So that moment of bringing the wine to the very end of the limits of being wine and continuing the process towards vinegar is the moment that is of particular interest of my winemaking. And I try to pull it up to the line, up to the limit, just to see where is that moment where me and my organoleptics would say, okay, now we have it. When I bring it to the very end, you get some very special vintages, some very particular labels that will then demonstrate that way of understanding the wine and that skill of making the wine.